What can I say about Sonic that hasn't already been said? It's Sonic the Hedgehog, for crying out loud. The most famous hedgehog in the world. The blue blur. No copyright strike will stop him. The fastest thing alive. Well, you get the idea. This is the first game I ever played, and it is a personal favourite of mine. The one title I could never get tired of playing, no matter how many times I pick it up and press that start button. When I first got my hands on this thing as a wee nipper, immediately I fell in love with the game's character. Straight away I was presented with the most colourful thing I've ever seen in my life. And at the time of my life I was like, what, 4? Maybe 3? I don't know. And they somehow managed to jam-pack so many colours as possible on the screen at one time without making it look messy, and I tell you what, they've done a fantastic job. It looks gorgeous. Not to mention the music that accompanies you whilst you're exploring this new world. It is one of the happiest tunes I have ever heard. Of course, when you're a child, things seem a lot better than they really are. So, we owe it to ourselves, really, to revisit these lost memories, these once loved cherishes, these gems that we hold near to our heart, and we give them a fair analysis, and we look at them from every angle, because that is what has been human, or something. Right, to begin with,
I don't like the games because Sonic is supposed to go fast.
Excuse me.
Just buffers and stuff.
Now then, upon the first look, our immediate reaction is that it's a platformer, with the most basic of functions. You run and you jump, and sometimes on enemies and sometimes on floating platforms, and that's it. Really? No, of course not! That's not it at all! There are a number of different functionalities that make this game so special compared to its competition at the time. Prepare your hearing holes for my argument, and the first Sonic the Hedgehog game is worth your time. Back to what I was saying before about the basic mechanics. It plays more like an arcade game rather than your generic platformer. The timer, collecting rings, memorising the level and avoiding the dangers, so by the end of the stage you will be tallied to reach the high score. Much like an arcade game. So much like an arcade game, Sonic is easy to pick up and play. It's not very difficult to master the controls. However, the game itself is difficult, and new difficulties coming around each and every new corner. That is a traditional arcade game, where the design is meant to eat up your coins, so you'll always come back for more. Being able to master the controls, but the game's giving you a hard time, is the perfect incentive to make you think, I know I can do this! So you pop in some more pocket money. And that's the whole idea of an arcade game. And Sonic runs on the same basic principles. But there is one very distinct advantage that Sonic had that no other arcade game had at the time, and that reason is it was released for home console. Now hold on, of course it was released for home console. How does that change anything? Well, you'd be surprised. Back in the day where arcades were the shit, the best arcade games at the time were, for example, let's say Altered Beast and Fantasy Zone, and so on. And you'd come home to play the exact same thing on your Master System or Mega Drive on a lower resolution and gameplay. Sure, it was satisfying having those on the console, but they weren't as good as having it on the arcade game, and then you knew that the better version was out there in your arcade house, waiting for your money! True, the very idea of owning a copy of Space Harrier Outrun and things like that felt like a dream, but between the home port and the arcade machine, you know I'd choose that bad boy any day. And that is why Sonic is special. It pushed the limits of the Mega Drive and provided an experience found nowhere else. To play it, you must own a Mega Drive, and that was the best part of having a home copy. It didn't eat your money. Imagine living a life where the best thing that you could play was an expensive long-term investment by saving up change and taking a trip to the arcade-style store. Very appealing, yet fun, but having the best version in your hand from the get-go, you didn't have to leave your house or use any other more money. You just had to press the start button and you ran it. That must have felt amazing. And that was the little jingle of home consoles at the time. And it worked so well. Of course, now everything is so complicated. They milk everything by adding DLCs, and it isn't worth it 80% of the time. Or waiting for patches because the game developers were too lazy to even release the full edition at the time. This was a time when a game was complete, it was ready to publish, and you bought it, and it was full. A complete game. I'm talking to you, EA. Sims 4? What the fuck? Back to another point I must bring up. What else did Sonic have that your other platformers like Mario, Mega Man, Alex Kidd, and a ton of others at the time? Do you want me to tell you? Alternative routes. It may sound silly, but giving the player a free choice to choose which path to take and deciding on the route that is fastest and most productive was a real thing for platformers at the time. Yes, you could argue that Metroid was a free roam platformer, but that game was designed to explore. It was linear. There was objective points and you had to go there to progress to there. That was how the game was built. But Sonic, you had a choice. You didn't have to take that route, or that route, or any of them really. You could stay there for as long as you liked, of course within the 10-minute load period, because that's when Sonic dies. You had the choice to see the sights, find all the rings, or use those red sneakers of yours to blast through the stage at your own will. So really, Sonic's original idea and intentional design in this game wasn't that he must go fast because he can, it's because he can go fast if he wants to, which I feel is a trait that is long gone, thanks to hundreds of the worst Sonic fans I have ever heard. Seriously though, I'm talking from experience here. I've spoken to loads and loads of Sonic fanboys and fangirls, and I can tell you from first hand that they do not know. They do not know what they want. Let's just leave it at that. On a lighter topic, there is the reward scheme that this game provides. There's the time scheme, and there's the collecting scheme. The time scheme is provided tallied to those who learn the layout of the map and focus on planning the best route to take. Taking advantage of obstacles and increasing the speed to get the highest score possible, which is the lowest time, provided you to think and retry the levels as many times as you could. The collecting scheme is more that you take your time and you explore the stages a little bit more than you would. Maybe finding more secret locations and more rings to add up to your one man, or there's definitely two different ways to play this game. It hits a wider range of people at the time, I feel, and as long as I'm on the topic of exploration, there are plenty of secrets to be had in this game. There are loads of secret caves, sneaky ways to progress through the stage. I've been playing this game for years and I'm still finding new stuff that I've never seen before. Going back to what I was saying before, sometimes the stage is not designed for you to go fast. Some of the time you have to take your time to think before reacting.
That's what I was saying before, because, like I was saying, because, Sonic should
pardon
go
me.
fast, because he's Sonic.
Now then, looking at these stages, I would agree that something is flawed, something is missing, or that I have not noticed something. Mini lesson time for me. All video games follow this principle. Pay attention. Games start easy, well, most of them do. It introduces you to key elements in the game that are unique and a key feature of that game. As you progress, it becomes harder for you to learn to go on, and by the end of that game, it's normally the final stage or near the end of that final stage, the mission or whatever it is. Normally, it is very tough, and you have to use everything you have learned to finish this mighty journey. The same principles apply here. Everything that you come across in this game is also what you come across in the final stages. Green Hill Zone, it is a safe environment for you to learn the controls and understand the basic mechanics of the game, where it's timing jumps, how to destroy enemies, and avoiding onto fall to hazards and that the environment can change at will. Marble Zone teaches you patience, knowing when to take action and being careful, knowing not to make mistakes and using the key factors that you've learned to apply that to the rest of the game. Spring Yard presents a difficult terrain, bouncing balls in the spring, awkwardly shaped platforms, unexpected obstacles, things that are needed to survive in a high action octane, fast paced game. Labyrinth Zone teaches you not to rush ahead. Creating a water world which you are forced to slow down creates a fear factor, that you could run out of air, and there could be something new ahead, a new hazard, implanting the rule that if it looks new, it's probably best to avoid it, or watch what it does first, creating a sense of awareness for the future. Starlight Zone offers a high speed, but also reminds you that you can't defeat everything. Every enemy in this zone cannot be touched without a power-up, introducing new ways to look at obstacles, and there is always more than one way to get around something. All of these factors that are placed before you in this game is perfect training, a perfect course if you will, for the final stages. Everything to death traps, careful negotiation, decision making, awareness, everything you have been through for this moment, because for you to get a reasonable score and not to run into anything like a fool, you'll have to apply everything that you've learned in the past stages to make it through, or at least an honest to God attempt to create a clear playthrough. I started this video hoping to understand why there is so much hate for Sonic games. I have spent a lot of time analysing this game, looking at it from every angle that I can think of from a neutral standpoint, applying my formula to every other Sonic game coming up with the same solution, well almost. Apart from those hiccups, I can't honestly see what is wrong with this franchise. It's happy, and the character is so lovable. It's aimed at both children and long-time fans, and for something that has been going for over 20 years. It's great to see the team that created him trying new things, rather than seem to do the same thing over and over. I can understand why there is so much discomfort towards some titles, but can you really blame the company for doing so? In today's ages of internet and morons with keyboards raging every time something new pops up, a company's natural flowchart is if the fans do not like it, they change it. The problem is, people who do not like something just because it's new, and the people who do like it don't say anything. They are happy playing the most beloved video game by themselves or with loved ones. And if you're one of those people, thank you. You are holding something important to you and something you enjoy. It's because of you gaming legends live on today. These great ideas that we are so used to. It's because of you that amazing titles like Mario, Zelda, Mega Man, Half-Life, Halo, Crash Bandicoot and Sonic live on today. Raise your head and be proud, because if it wasn't for you, this world would be filled with such mediocre, subpar game nonsense. And if you're one of those people who play something for instant satisfaction, with a temper the size of the moon and keyboard fingers getting ready to rage quit at any moment, then sod off! Thank you for watching this video all the way through to this point. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. And if you've got something to say, leave a comment. Anything's accepted. Harsh criticisms or supporting fans. We are all welcome here. And if you really liked what you saw, hit that subscribe. There are more on the way, I promise you. And as long as I'm chatting here, I'd like to give a shout out to 3 people. So Hot, FRM Gaming, and Cookies Game Point. Please visit all 3 of these people. They are pretty good at what they do, and I'm surprised they don't have as many subscribers and views as they have. So please visit them, do the things that I said, and I'll see you soon for the next episode. Peace out, love you all, bye!